Hello, welcome back to the GSMC Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. We just got done talking about the KPMG Women's PGA Championships, and now we're going to talk about the U.S. Track and Field Olympic Trials. Okay, this is like my favorite segment of the day. I was counting down the days for the Track and Field Olympic Trials, so I'm so excited to finally be talking about them. Okay, so let's get started. So the U.S. Olympic Team Trials, Track and Field, are underway in Eugene, Oregon at the famed Hayward Field on the campus of the University of Oregon, set for the 21st to 30th of June. The event is split into two four-day chunks, with 25 and 26th of June serving as a break from competition. Because it is Tuesday the 25th, we are going to recap the first 4 days. Because there are so many dang events in track and field, we are only going to recap some of the headlined or most standout events, in my opinion. But if you guys are interested in me recapping some of the other events that I was not able to get to in this episode of today, please leave a comment and I promise I will recap it. Also, just for some background information, the top 3 in each event, or at least in most events, sometimes it's different for certain ones, but in most of the events, they secure their spot in the Olympics. But if you have like a world ranking that is super high, you also can secure a spot that way. But it's really just the top 3 is what you need to focus on. Okay, so let's obviously start with day 1. Athing Mu is back and she's just as good as before with before her hamstring injury. She is the reigning 800-meter Olympic champion. Mu hadn't competed yet this 2024 season due to her hamstring soreness, having last competed at the same venue, Hayward Field, at the Diamond League final last September. She was third in the heat, clocking a 2 minutes, 1.73 seconds. Now in the women's 100-meter heats, reigning world champion Sha'Carri Richardson avoided disaster out of the starting blocks, then cruised to a 10.88 seconds to advance to the final rounds. Richardson thrust her arms out wide as she crossed the line first, then knelt down to tend a minor detail, her shoelace on her right shoe, which had come undone in the final 20 meters. Richardson ran in the fourth of 4 heats and was one of the 4 women to break the 11-second mark, though she was the fastest among them. Melissa Jefferson at 10.91 seconds, Mackenzie Long at 10.94 seconds, and Elia Hobbs at 10.97 seconds did so as well. Collegiate standout Jasia Sears withdrew from the event earlier on Friday. The Tennessee star had been the fastest woman in the world in the 100 meters so far in 2024, clocking a 10.77 seconds in April. She hadn't raced in some 6 weeks. However, her most recent effort a full second slower at 11.73 seconds than the world lead time. So that's basically why she dropped out. But there isn't much information on like if she had an injury or anything. But I think she just ended up just not wanting to run it. I don't really know the details on that, but just know that she was the world record holder in the world. So, and she is not going to the Olympics because she did not run it, unfortunately. I was really excited to see her. On Saturday, the second day, was the 100-meter finals. You can already guess, Sha'Carri Richardson won the women's 100 meters, obviously. She clocked a time at 10.71 seconds, and second was Melissa Jefferson at 10.80 seconds, and Twanisha qualified for the games, placing third at 10.89 seconds. I'm really happy to see that these 3 athletes in particular are going to the Olympics, but I am shocked to not see Tamari Davis qualify in this event. She was in 4th, though, so she was so dang close. Elia Hobbs was in 5th, and she was a great contender for this event as well. The most upsetting thing is the fact that Mackenzie Long is not going to the Olympics in the 100-meter dash. She obviously did great on Friday, but before the finals on Saturday was the semifinals, and she finished in 12th overall there. She got a time of 11.15 seconds, which is a pretty big gap from her Friday's time at 10.94 seconds. Despite her not making it to the Olympics, Long did amazing, and hopefully we will continue seeing her making headlines in the NCAA D1 track and field competitions. Also on Saturday was the women's triple jump. Jasmine Moore saved her best leap for last to finish at the top, going 14.26 meters. The competition in the women's triple jump heated up in the 6th and final round. Moore, who competed for Team USA at Tokyo 2020, boasts the best mark ever endorsed by an American of 15.12 meters, which she set at the 2023 NCAA Indoor Championships. Tua Orhi, twice an Olympian with a best place in a 4th at 2016, also flew in her final attempt, jumped to a 14.22 meters to claim 2nd, and defending champion Tori Franklin kept her first attempt of 13.72 meters as her best for 3rd. Moore will next be competing in the long jump, which begins on Thursday. Elsewhere, the women saw finalists advance on the field in the high jump and on the track with the 400 meter. Sana Barnes was flawless throughout 3 jumps to clear 1.83 meters to lead after the high jump qualifying, with 2-time Olympian Vashti Cunningham opting to sit out until the 1.83 mark, which she cleared on the first attempt. Cherry Huffnagel was also 3 of 3 on her attempts. 10 women in total cleared the 1.83 meter mark. Those women were also Giseona Guerra-Holt, Jenna Rogers, Rachel Glenn, Jamari Drake, Emma Gates, Erika Harbour, and Saria Willis. In the 400 meter dash, Shamir Little turned heads just by showing up on the track after saying she would scratch from the semis to focus on the 400 meter hurdles in the coming days. Instead, she raced in 50.16 seconds, the 4th fastest effort of the day to qualify into the final. Caitlin Brown clocked a time of 49.71 seconds, and Kendall Ellis was at 49.81 seconds, and Elia Butler was at 50.01 seconds. They were in the top 3 with the women's 400 meter final set for Sunday. I just realized I do not have the picture of the 400 meter in here. Oh, never mind. I guess it's right. That might be later. Okay, anyway, guys, I'm so sorry about that. Just ignore that. Moving on. Okay, so Butler is from the University of Georgia, and I'm so happy to see that she's doing great so far in the trials. For Sunday, let's start with the women's hammer throw. Ohio native Annette Ichikumwoke claimed the women's hammer throw title on the field, hurling a 74.68 meters on her first attempt. Deanna Price and Erin Reese earned Paris 2024 berths as well. Moving on to the 800 meter semifinals, reigning Olympic champion Athing Mu led a field of 4 sub-2 minute times that also included Kate Grace, Michaela Rose, and Juliet Whittaker. Mu's 1 minute 58.84 seconds was the fastest time of the night. Kate Grace was in second at 1 minute 58.97 seconds, and Michaela Rose was in third at 1 minute 59 seconds. Michaela Rose is a standout athlete at LSU. So I'm super happy to see she's making her way in the trials, possibly getting a chance to compete at the Olympics, obviously depending on how she does in the finals, which we'll get to. Juliet Whittaker finished in 4th, and she's a student at Stanford, so it's great also seeing her do really well so far. So after struggling throughout the season, Kendall Ellis earned a 2nd Olympic berth in the 400 meters by clocking back-to-back personal best. Her 49.46 seconds claimed the win, with Elia Butler at 49.71 seconds and Alexis Holmes at 49.78 seconds heading to Paris 2024 with her. The only 3 women to break the 50-second mark on the night. Alexis Holmes is the 4x400 meter gold medalist. I think it's also notable to point out the 4th to 6th place finishers in this event because they did great, even though they didn't qualify for the games. It was a really close event, and I felt like there were so many favorites and top contenders in this event that I would have been really happy to see in the Olympics. 4th was Caitlin Brown from the University of Arkansas. You guys probably recognize her name from when I recapped the NCAA D1 Track and Field Championships. She clocked a time of 50.07 seconds, and then in 5th was Kanara Hayes, who I would have thought would finish higher, but she still did really good with her time of 50.55 seconds. And lastly in 6th was Isabella Whittaker from the University of Pennsylvania with a time of 50.68 seconds. Lastly, let's talk about Monday. In the women's 800 meter finals, disaster struck for Athing Mu in the middle of the first lap. Mu got tripped up and fell. While she tried to reel in the rest of the field, Nia Kins pulled away down the stretch and won the race in 1 minute 57.36 seconds. That's a personal best for Atkins. Allie Wilson placed 2nd in 1 minute 58.32 seconds, and Juliet Whittaker took 3rd in 1 minute 58.45 seconds. Mu was in tears as she jogged to the finish line in last place. I don't blame her. This was such a disappointment and so sad. She still is in the running for the relay, so her Olympic chances are not over, but this was so disappointing and really upsetting. Like, it really shows you that there's these little factors that will just influence an entire chance to be in the Olympics. Like, we all thought she was going to be in the Olympics, and then she fell, which was the most simplest issue in a race. And now she is not going to be competing in the 800 meter event. So it's very sad, very, very sad. So moving on to some better news for the women's 5,000 meter final, Parker Valby led at the 10-minute mark of the race and was at the front nearly the entire way. Elise Cranny, Elle St. Pierre, and Carissa Seatsweiser were right there with her, though. Those three all passed Valby with about 800 meters to go. St. Pierre to the front, followed by Cranny and Seatsweiser. They stayed right in that position for the remainder of the race. St. Pierre won it in a meet record of 14 minutes 40.34 seconds, followed by Cranny, who was literally just 200ths of a second behind her. Schwitzer holds on to finish third at 14 minutes 45.12 seconds, followed by Valby in fourth place at 14 minutes 41.44 seconds, which is a personal best. So the women's 5,000 team for pairs will be St. Pierre, Cranny, and Schweizer. I'm sad to see that Valby did not make the cut because we have all heard her name from the NCAA D1 Track and Field Championships, and she was one of the favorites going into the race. I really thought she would have qualified, but she still has the 1,500 meters, so we will see how that goes for her. The first round of the women's 3,000 steeplechase also took place. Former Oregon State University star Kaylee Mitchell won her heat, crossing the finish line in 9 minutes 29.54 seconds. Valerie Constein was a close second at 9 minutes 29.61 seconds, and Courtney Wayment was just behind her in 9 minutes 29.66 seconds. They're so insanely close, all three of these places. These times are so insanely close. It is, it drives me insane. So all the time qualifiers are Rodenfels, Logan Jolly, Christy Gear, and Kaylee DeLay, though. Okay, so before we move into the next segment, let's just quickly talk about the women's high jump finals. The opening height was 5 feet 8 inches. 5 women have cleared 6 feet without a miss. Sana Barnes, Vashti Cunningham, Jamari Drake, Rachel Glenn, and Charity Hugnafield. 6 of high jumpers have cleared 6 feet 2 inches. They are Hugnafield, Jenna Rogers, Barnes, Cunningham, Glenn, and Jasiona Guerra Holt. The bar was in at 6 feet 3 and a fourth inches. Hugnafield leads the women's high jump, clearing a personal best 6 feet 4 1/4 inches without a miss, or like about 1.94 meters. Cunningham and Rogers are second with jumps of 6 feet 3 1/4 inches. Glenn also had cleared that height and is in fourth place. Cunningham and Glenn are the only two in the competition who have achieved the Olympic standard at 6 feet 5 1/2 inches. Ultimately, Hugnafield won the high jump with Glenn second and Cunningham third. Glenn and Cunningham hold the Olympic standard. I'm really happy to see that Rachel Glenn was in second, so we can see a student athlete in the Olympics and field events already. She's a student at the University of Arkansas. You'll probably recognize her name. So we're now going to move on to the next segment where we talk about the U.S. Swimming Olympic trials. Before we get into that, we're going to be taking a very short break, so I will see you guys very soon.